Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
He's going up to third.
Where were they standing when they shot you?
For some reason, he lost speed and altitude.
Death, the greatest mystery mankind has ever faced.
The horror of a mass killing.
Tanks coming in from the north.
What happens when we die? What is our final destiny? Is it a spirit world, reincarnation, or oblivion? For the next hour, we will take an amazing voyage from the gates of heaven to the flames of hell. Join us as we see through the eyes of those who have seen for themselves, from Thomas Edison to experts on the afterlife. We will take on the most incredible journey of them all, death and beyond.
In the wake of death, history lies as jumbled pieces of a fragmented puzzle. We're surrounded by different expressions of the individuals who have left this world, their accomplishments, their attempts, and their failures. Though their pursuits were different, we, like they, are drawn to one conclusion: death. I'm John Osteen. I speak with many people who are faced with death and dying. Death is a subject usually avoided, often feared, but is inevitably faced by all of us. To some, death is merely the doorway to the traditional concept of heaven or hell. To others, it's the bridge to reincarnation or a graduation to a higher plane. And still others feel that death is the end, the scientific termination of existence. To them, religion may serve only to inspire moral behavior or to comfort the anxiety often associated with death. Many are too busy to concern themselves with the subject. Sigmund Freud said, at the bottom, no one believes in his own death. In the unconscious, every one of us is convinced of his own immortality. If you haven't given thought to your own death, it is approaching and deserves some consideration, not in morbid preoccupation, but in curiosity and awe of a natural phenomena as full of mystique now as when time began. In our technologically advanced society, we still are unable to determine what happens when we die. Yet, according to a Gallup poll, 2/3 of the American population believe in a life existence beyond death. Is there anyone who can tell us what's out there? In exploring the end of life, we may learn new meaning for today. How can we prepare for death? Perhaps the experiences of others at deathbed could be helpful.
Thomas Edison, world-renowned inventor. In his lifetime, he patented over 1,000 inventions, many of them revolutionary. The electric lamp, the phonograph, and the microphone. A man whose first teacher said that he would never amount to anything has definitely left his mark on this age of technology.
Thomas.
In his later years, he continued to work long hours in his workshop in West Orange, New Jersey. On August 1st, 1931, Edison collapsed while working in his laboratory. He was bedridden at his home until the 14th of October when he slipped into a coma, but not before he uttered these final words.
Doctor, doctor.
What is it?
Looking up, he said, "It is very beautiful over there." To what exactly was Edison referring? Something he saw from a window? Recalling those words, "over there," Edison's doctor asked if perhaps in those final moments the great inventor had caught a glimpse of something beyond. His meaning, we can only speculate.
3 days after Edison's death, as a national tribute proclaimed by President Herbert Hoover, millions of Americans turned out their lights in honor of one of America's most brilliant minds. It's interesting to note the effect death has on those that still live. Death can seem to freeze a point in time, creating an indelible mark in history. For instance, most Americans vividly remember where they were when the news of John F. Kennedy's assassination was broadcast. The nation's heart froze in shock. Others, such as civil rights activists Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lennon of the Beatles, come to mind. To die, to sleep perchance to dream. William Shakespeare. Death is often the climax of the theater. Through classic tales such as Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare immortalized death. Scores of films, ballets, operas, and myths end in our hero taking a final tragic bow, leaving the survivors to mourn, to somehow go on without them. The idea of being alone after the death of a loved one is a common fear. Perhaps this fear is one of the reasons we form negative feelings towards death. How do we cope? Coping with death has been the focus of Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, author of the book on death and dying. She has devoted her life to comforting dying patients. She's written several books, given seminars, and developed educational programs to help humanity face death in a more positive way. Dr. Kubler-Ross has made some interesting observations. She stated, suddenly people realize all the things they treasure they can't take with them. They say to themselves, "Oh God, I've made a living, but I've never really lived." All of a sudden, priorities seem to change. How different will our life look when viewed from the deathbed perspective? What will be important? Kubler-Ross has this to say: when you talk to 20,000 not only dying adults but children, you realize that love is really the only essential thing in life. Not the kind of love we were raised with, but unconditional love. The only thing that helps you not be afraid of living or of dying. Unconditional love. It's an interesting remedy to the fear of dying. Experts like Dr. Kubler-Ross tell us that the most anxiety regarding death is in the process of dying and not in the moment of death itself. So what exactly happens at the point of death? What happens at the moment when time as we know it stops? Dr. Raymond Moody, the Associate Professor of Psychology at West Georgia College, has devoted his life's work to the study of the deathbed experience. He describes the following accounts in his bestseller, The Light Beyond.
Basically, what I have done is that over the past 25 years, I've been able to talk with over 3,000 individuals who returned from the brink of death and who had fascinating experiences to tell us about when they revived. A case I remember that was very interesting is of a woman who was being resuscitated after her lungs collapsed and she underwent a cardiac arrest when she was recovering from gallbladder surgery.
Her emesis is bright red.
Okay, what are her vitals? Check her pressure. And get some more people in here.
What can I do? You can notify the family and then get back in here.
Start an IV.
Yes, sir.
It was decided by the doctor that this woman was in all probability going to die. He informed the family, who lived very nearby,